I never imagined that one careless joke could unravel everything I believed was solid in my life. It was a calm, ordinary evening, the kind that feels safe, predictable, almost comforting. My wife and I were home, moving through our familiar routine, the rhythm I once thought would last forever. That night, she laughed at something at the dinner table, a light, careless laugh, and mentioned my best friend in a tone that made my stomach twist. At first, I thought I had misheard her. My mind kept replaying the moment, searching for another meaning, trying to convince itself it was harmless. But then the truth landed, sharp, undeniable. She had hinted that even he had tried. My best friend, someone I trusted without question, someone who had always been there. The laughter in the room suddenly felt empty, echoing against walls I'd never realized could feel so fragile. I didn't speak. I let the silence linger, let the weight of her words settle. For a moment, anger flared, hot, sudden, but it faded quickly, replaced by a cold kind of clarity. I didn't need a fight. I didn't need an explanation. I already knew. That single sentence drew a line I couldn't cross back over. I stood up quietly, walked to my study, and poured a glass of water. I needed to think, calmly, logically. Every small lie, every odd excuse, every little inconsistency started to align in my mind like puzzle pieces snapping into place. It wasn't just a joke. It was a reflection of something much deeper, a truth I had ignored for too long. The betrayal wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, deliberate, like a slow blade cutting through trust. By the time I returned to the living room, I already knew what had to be done. There would be no shouting, no begging, no endless discussions. This wasn't about revenge. It was about preserving what was left of me. I walked back in as if nothing had changed, my expression calm, my movements measured. She looked up, unaware of the storm gathering inside me. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't confront her. Instead, I let silence do what words never could, reveal the truth. She began to sense it, that something between us had shifted. Permanently, her confident smile wavered, her body language uncertain. And that was all the confirmation I needed. Later that night, I sat alone in our bedroom, surrounded by quiet. I thought about the years of compromise, the excuses I'd accepted, the moments I'd brushed aside. Trust, once broken, never truly returns. It leaves behind an echo, faint but permanent. I thought about my best friend, the one I confided in, and felt the sting of betrayal burn twice as deep. The thought hurt, but it also made my resolve crystal clear. There would be no more excuses, no more cycles of forgiveness that only led back to pain. The next morning, I made my decision real. No yelling, no pleading, no drama. The papers were prepared. My choice was final. I filed for divorce, not out of anger, but out of self-respect and clarity. Every step after that was deliberate. I didn't want a scene. I wanted peace, the quiet dignity of knowing I had acted with control, not emotion. By the afternoon, the first legal notices had been sent. The reality settled in, heavy, but strangely calming. The future was uncertain, yes, but it was mine. And for the first time in a long while, it was honest. In the days that followed, life moved at a quiet pace, steady, almost soothing. I went through the motions of work and daily routines, but everything felt different. There was a freedom in my thoughts, an ease in my conscience. The air felt lighter when I no longer had to question laughter or second-guess trust. Eventually, she reached out, messages filled with explanations, apologies, attempts to rewrite what she had broken. I read them, understood them, but felt no urge to respond. My calm wasn't avoidance. It was a statement. I had moved beyond the need for validation from someone who had treated trust as disposable. I later reconnected with my best friend, not to repair what was lost, but to face it honestly. We spoke openly, cautiously. There was laughter, but softer now, more careful. Some boundaries, once crossed, can't be undone, but truth, at least, could stop the damage from spreading further. Months passed, and I often found myself thinking back to that night, that joke, that brief moment of laughter, that shift that changed everything. And I realized something profound. Betrayal doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, and that whisper is enough to change everything. What defines you isn't the betrayal itself, but how you respond to it. I chose calm. I chose dignity. I chose action rooted in clarity, not rage. I refused to let bitterness become my story. I chose myself. And in that choice, I found strength, the kind that can't be taken, mocked, or diminished. Life moves on. People change. But peace, true, lasting peace, belongs to those who refuse to let someone else's recklessness define their worth.